Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to another live this morning as we do our question and answer Friday. So let me know if you can hear me and see me. And okay, starting to come on. And good morning to everyone this morning here. Another beautiful day in Northern Ontario. I'm taking advantage of it. My outdoor studio. So good to have you on with us this morning. Okay, so can hear me and see me. Nick, how you doing this morning? And Pam, how are you? And Star, how are you from Toronto? And Jerry from New Brunswick. Tammy from Mississippi. 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 Keith, how are you? Charlotte, Jeanette. Ronaldo from Washington. Good to have you on. Rebecca, nice to have you with us. Okay, so how are you guys doing? It is a great sunny morning, isn't it? Okay, at least here. Elizabeth from Sarnia. Okay. Nice to have you on, Elizabeth and Deborah and Micheline. Bonjour, our regulars, Patricia and Keith, Jeanette, Gloria. Good morning to you. Diane, nice to have you on with us. Annette, another one from New Brunswick, and Judy and Sandra from Blind River. That's a beautiful spot, isn't it? Blind River. Not far from Sudbury here. Montreal, Hiba from Montreal. Good morning from La Belle Province. Jane and hold on a minute, Karen and Travis. Yeah, it's Hiba. Hiba from Montreal. Nice to have you on. Karen, how are you? And Jane. Okay. You guys are great. I'm thankful for all of you. This morning, we're going to go through some questions. A lot of good questions came in during the week. Now, remember, save your questions if you want for these Friday sessions, okay? But we're here for you. Our staff, Jeanette, Nick, Brandy, are always answering questions, and so am I during the week. If they're not sure, they're asking me or whatever. So we're happy. This is, what we do at the Martin Clinic. We're happy to answer your questions. Okay. So Alain, or Alan, I don't know which one. It looked like I-N, Alain, more French, asking about lion's mane mushrooms. And you know what? Like, mushrooms are good for you, by the way. Okay? They're good for you. Good for your immune system. This one here is specifically saying that it's good for the memory. Well, look, there's a lot of claims out there, and you just have to, when you ask me a question, I'm only going to give you my experience, okay? And I'm not saying that mushrooms aren't good for memory. They probably are. But I know for sure what is good for your memory. Clinically, I had to prove it to people over the years. What is good for your memory? Restoring memory. The best two supplements for restoring memory are high DHA. Remember, your brain is made up of fat. And you need to replace that fat, DHA. And then the other one is curcumin. There's been several studies showing when you combine high DHA with curcumin. And Tony Jr. put out an email yesterday showing the difference this week, between turmeric and curcumin. The problem with turmeric, it's good for you, by the way. It's very good for you. The problem with that is poorly absorbed. You need a highly absorbable curcumin. And that's what goes up to the brain. And combined with high DHA, the studies are incredible, and my clinical experience tells me that too. So I really like, for memory, those two things combined. I usually take about 2 to 4 grams of DHA and probably about 500 to 800 milligrams of curcumin. in a good combination, really good for memory. Now, food-wise, your brain, you need fat. And the best fat in the world is saturated fat for your brain. Okay? So eat your vitamin S and the fat around it. The fat and the yolk in the egg. You know why? What is called your smart nutrient? It's actually called a smart nutrient. Choline. Choline isn't found in the plant kingdom. Choline is found in eggs, meat, and cheese. And the number one source is eggs. I had my choline this morning with my 2 eggs. And I had bacon and sausage this morning too. Okay? So that's saturated fat and choline. And I like high DHA. And Alain, thanks for the question. Fingernails, Debbie's asking about ridges in the fingernails. So let me just talk about 2 things about your fingernails. 1, ridges. If you look and see, if you have ridges in your fingernails, it's usually a problem with digestion and absorption. Usually, if you see ridges in your nails, you're not absorbing your protein properly. It's the absorption. Maybe you're eating it, but not absorbing it. And that is usually because of your stomach. And that is you have low HCl and not enough enzymes are being secreted. As we get older, it's very common. That's why I love digestive enzymes. But just to tell you, if you look at your nails, now if they are brittle and they're breaking all the time, that's usually a sign of thyroid. Okay? Usually a sign of thyroid. Could be Hashimoto's, could be a low functioning thyroid. But if there ridges in your nails, usually you're not digesting. And I love digestive enzymes. And nothing will strengthen your nails better than the bone broth protein. If you want to know, make yourself the Dr. Martin's Perfect Smoothie every day with cream and bone broth. Bone broth has collagen. Everything in your body is made up of collagen. Your skin is made up of collagen. It's the matrix. And even your fingernails. So this is what I find. And even for ladies, for your hair. Remember, if you take a strand of hair, it's 99.9% protein. Your hair is protein. And usually, it's not a problem ordinarily with men. Not that they don't lose their hair. It's actually very common for men to lose their hair. That's a hormonal thing, by the way. Nothing you can... Well, look, I actually have more hair than I did a few years ago. I do. Some people were saying to me, yeah, but I'm growing it on the wrong places, because I had a few ladies tell me they had it under their chin. Yeah, that's hormonal too. But my hair is, for an old guy, it's thinner than it used to be. I used to have a lot of hair. But I have more hair than I did even a couple of years ago. And that's just me using bone broth and our hair formula and just having as much as I can, a good diet. So look at thyroid, look at digestion. 2 things that, and again, very good question about nails. Charlene was asking about, she gets up in the morning, looks real good and full of vinegar and exercises. In the mid-afternoon, she gets pale looking. And that could be a sign of borderline anemia. Charlene, I'd have to be able to ask you more questions. Now, when you say you don't look as well, do you not feel well in the afternoon? Because that could be your adrenal glands. It could be the fluctuations of blood sugars that often happen in adrenal exhaustion. But if you're not exhausted and you're feeling actually quite good, but you just don't look quite as well, I need to know that. So maybe you could, Charlene, ask or give me some more information about that. But if you're actually feeling good, I wouldn't be too worried about it. But if you actually get tired in the afternoon, could be borderline anemia. That gets misdiagnosed a lot of times. And let me answer another question, okay? Because this will come. This was the last question. I think Margaret was asking about when I love looking at blood under a microscope, okay? And Margaret was asking about what are you looking for? Well, there's a couple of things, okay? Not 100 things. You know, I did a lot of training for practitioners who wanted to look at blood, and I used to teach them what to look for. And, you know, I used to say, don't look for too much, okay? Just look at the obvious things. And some of the obvious things, I looked at cells and how big red blood cells were. The bigger they are, the less oxygen they carry. It's the opposite of what you think. Like small little red blood cells were actually better than big, large red blood cells. So you look at that. I used to look at numbers. And Charlene, like just to answer the question and the one that Margaret asked, I look for, I used to see borderline anemia because you would see a lot of cells, but they were large. They were too large. And I used to say, well, you know what? Your B12 is low. Your possibly ferritin is low. Okay, and there was another question asked about high ferritin. Okay, what is that? It's always a liver problem. If you have high levels of ferritin, hemochromatosis is a word they give it, that is your liver. Your liver is not taking that, it's not filtering that iron out properly. A lot of people have low levels of iron, usually women. Okay, they're the ones that suffer with it the most, especially if they have heavy menses or whatever. That's caused by estrogen dominance, so get your estrogen down. But Margaret, the other thing that I was looking for when I looked at cells is looking at the shape of cells. I was looking for a lot of free radical damage. You would see a lot of damaged cells, the outer wall of the cells and free radicals. I used to look for that oxidative damage. And then I would look at, the serum, look for leaky gut. One way to see leaky gut is if you see candida or parasites in the blood. How'd they get there? They came in from the gut. That's called leaky gut. So that's generally what I looked at. And so Charlene, give me some more information just about how you're feeling. Al is asking a good question. He's asking about, is omega-6 actually good for rheumatoid arthritis? No, it's not. Now, if you'd have asked me, Al, 50 years ago, I would have told you, yeah, any oil is good for you. Omega-6 fatty acids are found in the plant kingdom. Okay, they're in the plant kingdom. And are they good for rheumatoid? No, not anymore. And the problem is because of these highly industrialized vegetable oils, our ratio, you see, what's key is how much omega-3 you're taking versus how much omega-6 you're taking. So omega-3 generally are found in the animal kingdom. The best are in fish and steak, vitamin S. So your omega-3 in there, and then your plants, your seeds, your nuts, and that. And again, they're not bad for you. But what has pushed up this omega-6 today is the amount of vegetable oils. Anything that is in a package. If you go to the middle aisles at your grocery store, you get a package of something, it's made with those vegetable oils. They're not really vegetable. They are seed oils. They're industrial oil. They're cheap. They preserve food. They're highly industrialized, and the human being was never made to consume that. We were made to consume our omega-6 in nuts and seeds and not consume it in packaged goods. But this is a big problem in our society today. And that's why I don't recommend omega-6. Like, I'm not telling you, certainly don't take it as a supplement. You're better off to get your levels, Al, of omega-3 up. Like, you should be sliding out of rooms. You're taking so much omega-3 if you have rheumatoid arthritis. Okay? Because these seed oils, canola, safflower, sunflower, grapes. These are industrial oils. Stay away from them. They're no good for you. Okay? They're crappy carbs. That's why when we put crappy carbs into our vocabulary, I'm talking about anything with high sugar and high vegetable oils, seed oils. Okay? So, good question. Get that ratio. So the more omega-3 you take, the better it is. So we live in a different world, you know, and I always tell you that you got to just stay away from omega-6. You don't need omega-6. You get a lot of omega-6. Stay away from it now. I don't recommend it. And that's why I'm not big on eating a lot of nuts and seeds. Like, you can have some, but I wouldn't take a lot of that stuff. Okay? And seeds, like I like hemp seed and I like flax seed. A couple of tablespoons of that a day, there's no problem with that. I got no problem with that at all. Unless, of course, you have diverticulosis or whatever. But generally, no. Bernie is asking about moles. And someone else was asking about cysts on kidneys. Okay. So if you have cysts, or you have moles, or you have skin tags, it's usually a sign. Usually, these are classic signs that you have insulin resistance. It's a warning sign. Your body is telling you you have too much growth hormone. Remember, 2 hormones make things grow. You guys should know this by heart. There's 2 hormones that make things grow. This is why for moles, for skin tags, for cysts, for tumors, you want to lower these 2 growth hormones. One of them is insulin, and that's food. That's food. Insulin is crappy carbohydrates. When you eat a steak, you hardly need any insulin. When you're eating eggs, meat, and cheese, this is the reason of the reset. Because you're not using your pancreas. You're hardly using. You're fasting without fasting. Cancer hates steak. Did you hear me? It hates it. Cancer wants sugar. It wants glucose. So if you have a mole, cut your insulin down. It's your diet. And then cut your estrogen down. And a lot of men, when they hit 50, have more estrogen than women. This is why their prostate wants to grow, grow, grow. Men, la prostate in French. It wants to grow, grow, grow. It needs estrogen to grow. Lower your estrogen. Lower your estrogen. Dim it out. Okay? Estrogen's a beautiful thing for women. But you don't want too much. Too much makes things grow. That's how women get breast cancer. That's how they get uterine cancer. That's how they get cervix cancer. That's how they get any cancer needs estrogen and insulin. They're growth hormones. Lower them. Dim them out. That's why I love our hormonal formula. It dims out that estrogen. It's so good for you. Okay. So, good questions. Herpes, type 1 and 2. How to get them under control. Well, remember what herpes are. Herpes is a virus. And you guys know me. You know what I talk about all the time. Because COVID-19 is a virus. Herpes, shingles, herpes zoster, herpes simplex, cold sores, the chicken pox. Herpes ordinarily will lay dormant. Put your hand up if you ever had chicken pox as a kid. I did. Well, then you got the herpes virus. And that's all right. We have millions, if not trillions, of viruses. It's not the virus. It's the soil. It's the terrain. Look, you're always going to have viruses. And most of them just lay dormant. They live within you. The herpes virus. Okay. How does it get activated? The number one thing that will activate herpes is stress. Remember what I talked about yesterday? Inflammation. But inflammation's not Houdini. But cortisol, it pours gasoline on inflammation. But when your immune system, you see, think of the fight or flight, okay? That's cortisol. Ooh, you're uptight. You're worried. You're anxious. And I want to bring you something that the CBC, next week we'll do this, talk about stress, okay? A story came out and I flagged it, and I want to talk to you about it next week. But guys, your immune system, it's you. Lower your stress levels. That'll help keep simplex, herpes, type 1 or type 2. It'll keep it at bay. Your immune system's meant to just, you know what, herpes? Stay quiet. Your immune system, like a good parent, you know? Time for your kids or your grandchildren to talk, and there's a time for them to shut up. Right? Just stay quiet. Okay. But that's your immune system. This is the whole thing with COVID. It drives me mental. Nobody's talking, or very few, are talking about the immune system. So you want to keep, you know why we see such, you know what's in epidemic proportions today? Shingles. Shingles. And I get medicine. What do they want you to do? They want you to take a vaccine. So they actually give you a little bit of the herpes zoster. They give it to you so that your body will create antibodies. I understand all about vaccines. I do. But they never talk to you about, hold on a minute, how do you keep your immune system from, you know, keeping herpes at bay? Because I've never seen a case of shingles where the patient didn't go through a stressful period. They weren't sleeping. You don't sleep, your cortisol goes up. Your cortisol goes up, you don't sleep. You don't sleep, your immune system goes down. Or you're stressed, you're worried all the time, you're uptight. And that you see, your body is in the fight or flight. It's not thinking about fighting viruses. It's thinking about fighting your neighbor or your children or you know what I'm getting at? So see, what cortisol is often a distraction to your immune system. I talked to you yesterday about what cortisol does in combination with inflammation and how dangerous it is for men, how they get heart disease in women, how they can get breast cancer. See, breast cancer a lot of times is a perfect storm. Stress, lowered immunity, too much estrogen, and too much insulin. And bingo, you got a cancer. Bingo, you got a cancer. But just remind you, see the little tip of that ballpoint pen? For cancer to grow to that size takes at least 5 years. Just the tip of it. A little cancer to grow takes a long time. This is why you're so fearfully and wonderfully made. Your immune system is meant, you fight cancer every day. You fight viruses every day. Keep your immune system. What did I talk to you about immune? Is there any vitamin better than what I'm in this morning? Now I'm in the shade a little bit because my phone would heat up in this morning sun. Get in the sun. There's nothing better to keep the virus, herpes virus, down. Get in the sun. Eat your vitamin S to get your vitamin A. Okay. Don't you love the Martin Clinic vitamin list? And have your vitamin C coffee. Yes, it's good for your immune system. I taught you that a couple of weeks ago. Okay, good question. Bonnie's asking about, and Diane, okay, they're asking about protein. Now, Bonnie's asking because I don't know if she has this certain gene, the mTOR gene, and then, you know, you go online and it says you shouldn't eat protein because that'll make you age and it's can give you cancer. Nonsense. I hate to be dogmatic, Bonnie, but nonsense. If you are a human being, I don't care what kind of genes you got. I don't care what kind of genetics you got or what kind of genes you're carrying. If you are a human being, okay, if your address is on planet Earth, it ends with planet Earth, then protein is king. Protein is king. It's the king of the castle. Because this is how your body thrives. And ladies, generally, just generally, you don't eat enough protein. You don't. So, Bonnie and Diane, you're asking about how much protein do I absorb at a meal? Well, it depends. Now, absorption is different than your consumption. You know, we talked about the ridges on the nails. You could be eating lots of protein, but you're not absorbing all of it because of your stomach. You see, your stomach is a furnace. It's where it actually starts in your mouth, but these enzymes, the stomach needs a lot of acidity in order to break protein down. But protein is king, guys. You're not going to eat too much protein. Oh, Doc, I had 20 eggs at my supper time. Well, who the heck eats 20 eggs at supper time? But if you do, and you were hungry, eat the right foods. Eat the right foods and protein. You'll never go. And remember, I talked to you about this. Was it yesterday or the day before? I talked to you about the type of protein because the bioavailability, meaning the absorption rate of animal protein, and the essential amino acids that are complete in animal protein. Look, plants are good, but animal proteins are better. Plant protein is good. There's nothing wrong with it. But here's what I say. Popeye did not get those big arms eating spinach. He said he did, but that was a cartoon and he's wrong. Popeye got those big arms eating steak. So just remember that, because the bioavailability of the two are completely different. And this is why I always make an appeal. I make an appeal to my vegetarian friends and my vegan friends. If you insist, and maybe it's for whatever reason you have, you need to supplement. You cannot get everything you need in the plant kingdom. You just can't. You won't get enough protein, you won't get enough bioavailable protein, and you will not get all your essential amino acids. That is just science. And I know it's on Netflix, it's all over the internet. Eat the plants. Plants are so much better for you. Meat is no good, it's full of hormones, it's whatever. You know, guys, don't buy that. I'm just appealing. I'm appealing to you, especially the younger generation today, who's taking that hook, line, and sinker. It's not true. You will not be healthy in the long run. Senior citizens, they just don't get enough animal protein. They don't. And there's no B12 in the plants. And your body cannot do well without B12. It just can't. So don't fool yourself. B12 is a nerve vitamin. It's a muscle vitamin. It's found in red meat and not in chicken. Now, chicken's good. A lady said I was condescending the other day. I'm just teasing. Okay. Gail was saying, is it possible to reverse a hiatus hernia? Well, I think I have reversed hiatus hernia a few times. But I don't talk about so much reversing hiatus hernia. I talk about putting it to bed, meaning that it's not going to bother you. So what do? Do a lot of intermittent fasting, especially at night. if you have hiatus hernia, if you have acid reflux, and you have gallbladder problems, don't eat at night. Stop eating. Try and stop eating around 5 o'clock. And then if you can go past your breakfast time, like at 8 o'clock or whatever, go past it. The longer you fast, the better it is for the hiatus hernia. Okay? And eat protein and not crappy carbohydrates, because you're creating inflammation with insulin. And hiatus hernia, you can put it to bed with intermittent fasting, especially at that nighttime. Give yourself many, 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 many hours of not, before you go to bed, of not eating. That's not always easy to do, not in our society, okay? But that's what you need to do. Okay, let me just see here. Hey, we're doing pretty good. Tara was asking about whether she should get a thyroid scan because she's worried about radiation. Well, I'm always worried about radiation, okay? So ladies, in your mammograms or whatever, I'm not against that, okay? I'm not telling you not to do it. You have to weigh the benefits to the risks. And so I'm just going to give you overall things, okay? Now look, if they're suspecting a tumor on your thyroid, well, you know what? Maybe you should get it scanned, okay? I got no issue with that, but you got to make that individual decision. Like mammograms, there's a lot of radiation in a mammogram, but if you're concerned about cancer and, like one thing that I always tell my patients, look, if you're getting any kind of scan, an MRI or a PET scan or whatever you're getting, you minimize the risk when you take probiotics, okay? They really do minimize the risk. And antioxidants help with radiation, the side effects of radiation. So I love antioxidants. I love vitamin C. Coffee. Tara, do you drink coffee? You're going to protect yourself. I love that antioxidant. I love pine bark too. Probiotics, they help. People that are taking cancer radiation therapy have always got them on multiple doses of probiotics because those are the things that get killed in radiation. So you need to replace them. Very good question. Celine, calcium buildup on arteries, okay? Atherosclerosis, that's what that is, okay? You know what's the best thing? Your body is unbelievable how fast it'll regenerate, even hardened arteries. If you change your diet, if you get your good cholesterol up and your triglycerides down, get your good cholesterol, eat more eggs, meat, and cheese. And HDL actually helps to take those triglycerides out. Now, for actual hardening of the arteries, okay, actual hardening of the arteries, remember you want to elevate your nitric oxide. What is nitric oxide? A little explosion in your blood vessels makes your blood vessels relax. They open up, they relax. I like magnesium. I like pine bark. B12. B12 is important for your blood vessels at the endothelial level because it lowers your homocysteine. So it's very, very, very important. And, okay, now what takes calcium? You guys should know this because this is the main point. What takes calcium out of your blood vessels and puts it in your bones where it belongs? What is the name of the vitamin? Okay? What is the name of the vitamin that takes calcium out of your blood vessels? Selene. Do you know this? You should. It's found mostly in butter, and the number one source is cheese curds. What vitamin is it? Well, I don't want to scroll, I'll lose you. Vitamin K2, not K1, K2. K2 is found in butter. and eggs, but especially in cheese curds. Why do I put cheese in the top 3 foods? Because vitamin K2 takes calcium out of your arteries. And that's why I'm not big on taking calcium as a supplement, because when you take calcium as a supplement, it never gets to your bones, guys. Vitamin D takes calcium and puts it in your bones, and so does vitamin K2. I love vitamin K2. Eat it. Eat it. You like cheese? You like cheese curds? Yes. You like butter? Put butter on your steak. Right at the end. You're barbecuing your steak. Put butter on it. Right at the end. Let it melt into there. You're going to get your vitamin K2 with your vitamin S. And it's going to clean out your arteries. You know? Because the world tells you, oh, that'll clog your arteries. It's the opposite. Think of that butter as oil that just making your blood vessels less sticky. It does. Okay. Very good question. Celine, I love you. Good question. Lucy's asking about postnasal drip. How long does it take? Well, I actually answered one of these yesterday online about postnasal drip. It takes up to a year. You got bad, you're always, sniffling and coughing because the postnasal drip, and it's in your throat and and in your lungs, and you're coughing all the time. It might take you a year. Do probiotics, and like Lucy was asking maybe about probiotics. You ever sniff probiotics? That is our invention, by the way. You're not sniffing cocaine. You got the powder of probiotic. Take a little straw and get those probiotics in the sinuses. It really works, guys. It's helpful. I love oil of oregano. And don't feed the bears. Remember what that is in there. What is it? It's yeast. It's fungus in that mucus. It's fungal. Don't feed the bears. They only love sugar. Crappy sugar. Okay. Delia with hypnic jerk. Yeah, that's when you fall asleep and you think you're like a lot of people. Look, you know what that is? That's cortisol. Lower your cortisol, Delia. You got bad dreams, restless legs. A lot of times that is cortisol. And you get the EBGBs of the legs. Microcirculation. A lot of times that can be a sign of anemia too. You don't have enough B12 and iron. That can be all things that I look for. Wendy's saying detoxing on the reset, does that make your adrenals worse? No, it just makes them better. The reset helps your adrenals. I always look at your adrenals like battery packs. They're little battery packs. And when you're stressed out over a long period of time, now stress can come in different ways. Stress can come from a bad diet. Stress can come from worry in relationships. Stress can come from chemicals in the environment. Stress can stress your adrenals in a lot of ways, okay? And sugar is one of the most stressful things you can do to your adrenals. So the reset is just the opposite of that. You're not having any sugar at all. It's actually quite good for the adrenals. It's when you have adrenal exhaustion, I make you go on the reset if you're one of my patients. It's one of the reasons I developed that 30-day eating program, is to regenerate adrenal exhaustion. When doctors can't find anything and you're still exhausted, look at the adrenals. If you are exhausted and all your tests are coming back within normal limits, look at your adrenal glands. It's my go-to, and I fix those adrenal glands. And one of the biggest things you can do is the 30-day. You see, your adrenals love protein. They hate fluctuations in blood sugars. That stresses them out even more. Up and down like a yo-yo. People that are yo-yo dieting. Okay? You want to put logs on the fire. You want to give your body 99% octane, not 83 or 93 or 91 or 87, I mean, which you put in your car. Nah, you want the high stuff, 99. You want jet fuel. That's eggs, meat, and cheese. Thanks you very much, Wendy. And I answered Margaret's. Good. I think I answered all your questions. Okay. Okay, guys, thanks so much for watching today. God willing, we'll see you on Monday. Keep your questions coming in. We're going to hit some great topics next week. Share this with your friends. Listen to our podcast. These are all turned into podcasts. So if people can't watch the videos, introduce them to the Doctor is In podcast. Okay, we've got millions of views, of downloads on the podcast. It's fantastic. We appreciate it. All around the world, people are downloading the podcast, okay, of the Doctor is In podcast. Thank you very much for all that support. We appreciate it. And we love you guys. I mean that. We'll talk to you soon.